Hi, my name is Sean Deacon. I'm a Senior Premier Field Engineer, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Microsoft Dynamics CRM 2015 CRM for Outlook new features. I'm going to be covering the synchronization enhancements, the configuration wizard enhancements, and the upgrade. First, let's talk about the synchronization enhancements. So why do we need synchronization enhancements? Well, today there's really no transparency or ability to customize the sync direction. You have limited addresses and phone fields synchronizing. There's no syncing of Outlook assigned tasks. And there's no syncing of attachments on appointments. So some of the synchronization enhancements that we've done to the include changes to the synchronization pipeline. And we gave you the ability now to configure this at the field level. And this really allows the administrators to go in and change the settings so that you can configure it from Exchange to CRM or CRM to Exchange, and also to disable it for each field if they choose. This is an organizational level setting, so it's something that you guys need to decide as an organization how you're going to configure this. You cannot do this at the user level today. One example that this allows you to do is for the concept of private notes. And this was a common request that we had especially from financial sector customers, where they have their financial advisors who want to track their contacts and their emails and appointments and stuff, from the Outlook client into CRM, but they have certain notes that they put on contacts maybe that are private things that they just really don't want in CRM. And so now they can have their administrator go in and turn off that synchronization so that the notes on a contact don't synchronize to the description field in Outlook, and you can have the concept of private notes. You can also do read-only data. So if CRM admins want to secure some of that CRM business data so that the end users aren't inadvertently making a change in their Outlook or on their phone and having that synchronize up and overwrite the data in CRM, they can do that by just changing that sync direction so it's only from CRM down to Outlook and not the other way. This really gives a lot more transparency for both administrators and users of which fields are syncing and which way that synchronization is happening. The administrators can go into the system settings and then the synchronization tab within CRM, and they can look and configure the pipeline for each one of those entities that syncs from CRM to Outlook today. And users can go into their CRM, into the Outlook backstage and options, and look at the synchronization settings that they have in their synchronization tab so that they can understand what have the administrators set up for me, which way is this information synchronizing for each of my entities. One thing to note is that it's not configurable for all fields. Appointment, for example, has fields like organizer and appointment type that are required for Outlook, so we don't allow you to turn those off because you need those in order for those entities to work correctly in the Outlook client. There were some architectural changes and some new privileges that we added for this feature. There was 5 new tables and 1 stored procedure that's added in the background. And then as far as the privileges, there's 2 new privileges that were added to the business management tab on the role. So if you have a scenario where you don't have system administrators making all these changes, you wanted to have some other power user role, you would need to add those privileges in order for them to make these changes. Other things to consider if you're using the CRM offline client: whatever these settings are set at when you go offline is what you're going to be using. It's basically using a snapshot of that last mapping before they go offline. And so that's the configuration it's going to be using when they come back online. So, and then the next time it'll actually pick up those new changes. And there was a couple things with the SDK. There was a new API that was added. There's a retrieve principal sync attribute mapping API, and then there was 2 classes that were added for that: sync attribute mapping and sync attribute mapping collection. These are only read-only at this time with the SDK, and we're maybe later in a future release we'll look to add on to that. But at this time it's read-only, and it's probably not that big a deal because these are not configurable at the user level today. It's only at the organization level, so you can just set this in the system settings. But just wanted to make you aware that there are some changes that were added for the SDK. That's fully documented in the SDK, and you can read all about that in the updated SDK and for CRM 2015. Other important considerations is that these settings are really meant to be something that's pretty static and you're not going to be changing them that often. And really, because the reason why we want to do that is these new settings only apply to new records. They're not retroactive. It's not going to go back and change a bunch of things. So you don't want to be in this scenario where you decide as a business, this month we're going to do it this way, and 2 months later we want the sync to be another way. That's really not what this is for. This is meant to be kind of a set it and forget it type scenario where it's going to be in place for a long time. The other thing to consider is there is a little bit of a time delay when making the sync changes. So if you're excited about this and you go and set it up in a test environment right away and you start making changes and it's not working how you thought it was, keep in mind there is a time delay. There's a user cache. If you close the Outlook client and launch it, you can speed that up. But even after you do that, it can take a minute or two in order for those changes to take effect. So keep that in mind for when you're testing this out and when you're explaining it to your users on how this is going to work. One other thing that I've already mentioned, but I just want to make sure that is clear, it's only configurable at the organization level today, and you can't configure it at the user level. And these synchronization settings are also not solution aware. So you have to keep that in mind as you're moving from one environment to another. These aren't part of the solution like your other customizations are. These are some sync settings that are specific ones that you have to set there, and we do not have those solution enabled at this time. Another synchronization enhancements that we made was we added the ability to synchronize more addresses and more phone fields from CRM to Outlook. Outlook handles a lot of different address fields and a lot of phone fields, and CRM only had a subset before. So if we start with the mailing addresses, previously CRM synchronized one mailing address, and we only synchronized the business address or that main address. Now with CRM 2015, we've added the ability to synchronize the business address, but also the home address and the other address. So those are those new ones that we added. This is only going to synchronize one of those addresses by default. However, you can go into the System Settings Synchronization tab and you can turn that on if you want to synchronize all of those addresses. Likewise, for the phone fields, previously we synchronized 7 phone fields. Now we synchronize 11. So 4 new ones that we added are Business 2, Callback, Company, and Home Phone. And these are automatically all going to synchronize. You don't have to turn this one on in the configuration in the system settings. Another enhancement that we made was the synchronizing of Outlook assigned tasks. And some of you might be thinking, well, we assign tasks in CRM already that were tracked from Outlook. What does he mean by this? What this means is this is actually like the native Outlook assigning task functionality. So if you open up an actual task, you can see there's an assign task button. I know this has caused confusion with some users in the past where they're wondering why this just didn't work before, because I have the CRM Outlook integration installed for my Outlook, but this functionality doesn't work. And that was just one of the features that we hadn't enabled yet. And so now we've turned that on where you can actually use that Outlook assign task functionality and track those, and those will actually work just like they do with Outlook today. The user is going to be getting or the assignee, whoever you're assigning that to, will get that notification that you have assigned them a task. Once they accept that task, then there's basically updates that happen on each side. And so the next time that both the person who created and assigned that task and the person who accepted that task, when they client synchronize, that'll complete the handshake, and those will both, or that task will then appear in CRM and be assigned to the right user. So one thing to clarify there is when you first create that task and assign it to somebody, it will be in CRM right away because you tracked it, but it's going to still show you as the owner until that user actually accepts it, and then both your clients synchronize, whether you're using Outlook synchronization or if you're using email, the server-side synchronization, they both have to synchronize in order for that to show the right assigned person on that task. So keep that in mind. This is really designed to work with the user level assignments, meaning that this isn't set up to work where you can assign it to a team. And in most scenarios, that is okay. I don't see a lot of customers where they're trying to assign a task to a team. It's more so you're assigning a task to an individual user on that team and not an actual team itself. This feature is off by default, so if this is something that you want to take advantage of, you do need to go into the system settings, into the synchronization tab, and turn that on. Other important considerations to note is that we do not support recurring task assignments. So the same thing with, we don't support recurring tasks today. We also don't support the reoccurring task assignments. And I mentioned you couldn't assign the task to multiple users, and it's also only available in the Outlook desktop client. So this is not available in like Outlook Web Access or other clients. It's only in the Outlook desktop client that this feature is available. The next synchronization enhancement I want to talk to you about is the syncing of appointment attachments. So previously, attachments were not synchronized to CRM. If you had an appointment and you tracked in CRM, that appointment would actually go to CRM, but any attachment that you had on there would be dropped. We did not have support for that prior to this. This uses the same default and maximum attachment file size in CRM as emails and other things that you have set up and you're used to configuring. So it's going to have that by default. That's 5 megs. You can increase that up to 32 megs, just like you can for email attachments and just attaching files to CRM in general. This setting is also off by default, and you can configure this in the system settings on that same synchronization tab if you want to have that set up. And these new sync settings only apply to new appointments. So same type of thing as other ones we're talking about. It's not retroactive. It's not going to go back and automatically, pull down all the attachments from all the other appointments that you had tracked in CRM before. Another thing to consider is CRM 2015 introduces the capability to have field level security for out-of-the-box fields. So in previous versions of CRM, only custom fields could be enabled for field level security. Well, with CRM 2015, you can configure this for out-of-the-box fields, and so some of those fields that you might configure this for could be fields that are synchronizing down to the CRM Outlook client. So you need to keep that in mind, because it adds a little bit of complexity to that if you're controlling the field level security through the field level security profile, and you're only allowing somebody to have maybe update access on a record, but they don't have read access on a record. Strange scenario, I know, but I've seen some of these different scenarios, so I wanted to call these out. And if that user is in an Outlook and they make a change, then that change might not go to CRM because field level security is enabled and they're not going to be able to update it. So keep that in mind. If the users are wondering, what field level security rights I have to a record, they can always click View in CRM and they'll see which ones are masked out. So I just wanted to call this out. It's something to consider when you're enabling field level security and thinking about the Outlook synchronization, just to make sure you're not putting yourself and your users into a scenario where things don't synchronize how they expect them to. All right, so let's take a look at a CRM 2015 environment and where you enable these features. So here I have a CRM 2015 web client that I'm logged into. I'm logged in as a system administrator in this deployment. So I'm going to go up to Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and I'm going to go to Settings, Administration, System Settings, and Synchronization. A lot of this looks familiar as far as the filters and that type of stuff from previous versions, but some of the new stuff that we just talked about are these synchronized fields. So you'll see this, view the synchronized fields for your Outlook or Exchange items, including appointments, contacts, and tasks. If you click on this synchronized fields, it'll pull up this new UI. Within here, you can see this is our same user filters, system filters that we had in the past, but now we're on field level synchronization. We have the appointment entity, so here you can see all the different entities that you can configure this for. So if I choose contact, for example, I can see the sync direction that's set up. The left-hand column has the Outlook field, the right-hand column has the Microsoft Dynamics field. So whichever way the arrow is pointing, that's your sync direction. So in this case, we have it for both. Anniversary is one that I'm on now, so I'll just use this as an example. If I click on this, now I've turned off that synchronization, and I can turn that synchronization just from CRM to Outlook, or I could change that just from Outlook to CRM, or I could set it back to both. So that'd be a good, this is one that I'm going to leave in place on here. If I scroll back down, and the example that I mentioned when we were talking earlier would be notes. And if we wanted to do this private notes, this is something that our end users have been asking for a long time. We're excited about this feature. I would come in here and I would disable this. That way notes from the Outlook client are not actually going to go to CRM, and I don't even want my CRM to synchronize down to my notes either. I just want those notes on those contact records to be private, to stay in Outlook for my financial advisors or whoever is using that. The rest of these fields can all synchronize back and forth just like they normally did. So in order for those changes to apply, you just need to click OK. Again, these are server-side settings, so we're setting this for everybody. And once that user cache clears, there's notifications that happen and things in order to trigger that. Or if the Outlook client gets closed and launched, they can help to speed up that process. Then that will start taking effect, and notes will no longer synchronize now in that contact record. Other things that we talked about was the appointments and the ability to synchronize attachments with Outlook or Exchange. This is simply a checkbox. If you check that box, then the attachments on appointments are going to synchronize. The next one down, synchronize mailing addresses only in Outlook in a contact, or synchronize all 3 addresses in Outlook contact. So I'm going to select this radio button for all 3. And the last one was tasks. I want to synchronize tasks that are assigned in Outlook. If you want to turn on that ability, you just go ahead and check that box and click OK. So once you've done that, now your Outlook clients are going to be taking advantage of these new features and functionality that we've added to the synchronization pipeline. One of the other things that is important to note is that in order for this to work correctly, you do need to have the CRM 2015 Outlook client. And for this to work, the CRM 2013 Outlook client, which we'll talk more about in the next couple lessons here, it will be able to talk with the CRM 2015 server, but it's not necessarily going to be able to take advantage of all these new features of functionality. So you want to make sure you get your Outlook clients upgraded to the CRM 2015 Outlook clients. Now let's talk about the Configuration Wizard enhancements. So why do we need Configuration Wizard enhancements? Well, the Configuration Wizard before was sometimes confusing in terms of what URL you need to put in place or what you needed to select for CRM Online. And so we really wanted to simplify and streamline this configuration experience. We want you to look like that gentleman on the right, and this is a great experience every time that you try to configure the CRM Outlook client. And so what we did to help streamline this configuration experience is we added the ability to copy and paste your CRM Web Browser URL right from Internet Explorer, whichever browser you're using, into this Configuration Wizard. There's a screenshot at the bottom here that shows what this looks like. So you just paste this in here and click Connect. The organization will automatically be configured for you in your Outlook client. So what this means is that in the past you could do your discovery server URL or your server URL that you put in there, and typically you wouldn't want to have your / organization name. Now you can actually have your organization URL. You can copy and paste that right into there. For CRM Online, you just select CRM Online from the drop-down. There will also be a checkbox available for CRM Online orgs where it says connect automatically with my current credentials. That'll be checked by default. This is only if you're using the CRM Online Azure Active Directory or AAD deployments. This will allow you to log in as a different user if you needed that functionality to be able to do that. Other configuration enhancements that we've done, we've added OAuth for the Outlook client. This is an optional configuration that you can set up. It does require ADFS 2012 R2. This will enable the multi-factor authentication, but it really brings consistency across all of our clients. So our mobile clients today use that, and this allows the Outlook client to now utilize the OAuth authentication as well. It also allows you to set up a custom login UI, and it's available for XRM solutions via the OAuth endpoints for the organization and discovery service. This configuration is done via PowerShell. Just like in CRM 2013 you had to run a PowerShell script, you need to do this for 2015 as well. It's a little bit different commandlet and PowerShell command that you run, but just look in the documentation for that and you'll see the OAuth claim settings that you need to configure in order for this to work properly. This also removes the requirement for the Live ID sign-in assistant, so you no longer would have to have that in place with this new configuration. And we've also added enhanced error messaging. So the dynamic help that is set up now on the error messages, instead of just getting a static message that says an error has occurred, or contact your system administrator, or you need to look into this information. Now we actually have a link with that takes you to dynamic help page that we can update with contextual help information that we've gathered from other customers, and maybe things that we've seen as different trends that we can document on how to fix these, and really give you some possible self-healing information out there where you don't have to contact support, or you don't have to look out in the blogs or things like that. You can go right to this dynamic help page, find out what the issue is and how to resolve that. There's also new error exception codes and strings that are included with the Outlook client to help with better error messaging. So let's take a look at the new configuration experience and what this looks like. I'm on my Outlook client now. I can go over here, I just installed it, and I'm going to go to Programs, Microsoft Dynamics CRM 2015, Configuration Wizard. Here I'm going to see a pop-up, and I can automatically put in my URL here. So I'm just going to go right back over to the web client that I had open from the previous one. I'm just going to copy this URL. Very simply, I'm just going to paste it in here and click Connect. This configuration is now going to go through and set up the organization and add everything that it needs to into the Outlook client. Now we have our organization added into Outlook, and we can see here our server URL. It automatically took off all the other information after my server URL. I can see this is my synchronizing org just like it was in previous versions, and I have it configured. Everything else is still the same with the configuration wizard. If I wanted to add another organization, I could follow the same process again by clicking the add button and add another organization to my Outlook client. In this next session, I'll be covering the CRM for Outlook upgrade. The compatibility changes for the CRM for Outlook client include dropping support for Office 2007, Internet Explorer 8 and Internet Explorer 9, Windows Vista, Windows Server 2008 Remote Desktop Services, Windows Server 2008 R2 Remote Desktop Services. You'll notice the asterisk next to a few of these up here, and that means that for Internet Explorer 8 and 9 and Windows Server 2008 R2, we're not going to actually block you during the installation from these. However, these are officially unsupported, and we recommend that you upgrade to the latest version of Internet Explorer and Windows Server in order for to have the best experience with the CRM 2015 Outlook client. To upgrade to CRM 2015 Outlook client, you do need to have CRM 2013 Outlook client installed. We don't require that you're on a certain service pack or a certain update rollup in order to upgrade. You just need to have the CRM 2013 Outlook client installed in order to upgrade. You can't upgrade directly from a CRM 2011 Outlook client, for example. You do need to be on a CRM 2013 Outlook client. Your existing CRM for Outlook client must be in online mode before upgrading to the latest version. So this is if you're using the offline client, you do need to make sure you get online, bring your data online, and then you can upgrade to the latest version. And all your CRM 2013 for Outlook clients that can be used with online mode will work against the CRM 2015 server as well. So just like previous versions of CRM, where you were allowed to use one version backwards compatibility with the Outlook client against a newer version of the server, we still allow that with the CRM 2015 server. As far as this upgrade process, just a simplified summary of what this would look like for your organization. You need to ensure that all the clients are on CRM 2013 for Outlook. That way they can still talk with the 2015 server once we upgrade. At that point, you're going to upgrade your server from 2013 to 2015. And then you would upgrade all your Outlook clients from CRM 2013 for Outlook to CRM 2015 for Outlook. If you're going to be skipping CRM 2013, so an example would be if you're going to go straight from CRM 2011 right to 2015, then there is no direct upgrade for the Outlook client. So you'd have to uninstall the CRM 2011 Outlook client, and then you would install your CRM 2015 Outlook client. And also there's a note on here that CRM 2011 Outlook clients cannot communicate directly with those CRM 2015 servers. There's a new check that's added with the CRM 2015 Outlook client to ensure that your email address that you have in CRM, both on your user record and your mailbox record, matches what's actually set up in Outlook. And this is to ensure accurate email tracking. So you'll get this prompt that tells you that it doesn't match when you first launch the client, and you'll have to go in and change that. You can confirm what your email address is in CRM by going to your actual user record and looking at their email address, and also on your mailbox record. And in Outlook, you can confirm that by, within Outlook, if you go to File, Account Settings, Email tab, and you'll notice that in the name column there, you can see what your primary email address is. In my case, it's administrator@contosal.local. That's what I'd have to ensure is set up on my user record and my mailbox record in CRM 2015 in order for this Outlook client tracking to work correctly. So let's review the new features that were added for the CRM 2015 Outlook client. Synchronization enhancements include configurable field level synchronization, the syncing of more addresses and phone numbers, syncing Outlook assigned tasks, syncing attachments on appointments. The CRM 2015 Outlook client also streamlined the configuration experience by allowing you to copy and paste your CRM Web Browser URL into the configuration wizard, and also through the introduction of OAuth support. And in terms of upgrade considerations, remember that the CRM 2013 Outlook clients are able to communicate with the CRM 2015 servers, so you don't need to upgrade all your Outlook clients at exactly the same time you upgrade your server. However, we do recommend that you upgrade to the CRM 2015 Outlook clients in order to utilize all of these features that we just discussed in this training. Thank you for listening to this training, and please take a look at the labs that we have for the CRM Outlook clients to learn more about these features and to get some hands-on experience with them as well. Thank you.